You are watching CIOTV by Enterprise IT World, a production of Accent Info Media.
Hello and welcome to CIOTV.live, a production of Accent Info Media and sister concern of Enterprise IT World. We have been speaking to IT leaders, security leaders, thought leaders, and domain experts about the entire journey of digital transformation, possible challenges and mitigation strategies. Today we have Bobby Gupta, Senior Vice President and Managing Director for International Business, Virsec from Bay Area, United States. Bobby is known very well in the industry. He has illustrious career of 20 years in the business in global leadership with enterprise software, analytics, cyber security, storage, big data, CRM and IoT and IT services. With his vast experience, his presence is also omnipresent. He is available in US to the customers in Asia Pacific, Europe and Middle East market. To add, Bobby is an investor, advisor, and expert in launching early stage startups at the worldwide scale. Bobby, thank you very much for taking time out and most welcome to this episode of CIOTV.live.
Thank you, Sanjay. My pleasure.
Bobby, my first question is, how do you see you being a globe trotter, a globe observer? How do you see the trend of cybersecurity in this, century?
Sure. So Sanjay, very good question. When I go and talk to my clients, whether it's in US or Australia or Japan or India, the one thing which is paramount to all the board level executives, whether it's CEOs, CIOs, CISOs. I was in India a couple of like three weeks back, met the government there as well. Everyone is talking about the plethora of attacks pattern we have seen, which have never been seen before. Always there was a pattern, but now if you look at the attacks happen like supply chain poisoning, attacks happen like remote code execution, attacks happening like, what happened during even the war of Ukraine and Russia. We have seen the attack patterns have really gone to a new level altogether. And there's no pattern for that. Attacks have no pattern, machine learning cannot detect those attacks, and that's created a lot of problems. So when I go and talk to at the minister level, you saw what happened in Japan, when the Indian Prime Minister met with the Quad countries from USA, Japan, Australia, and India. One dialogue was security collaboration, how the different countries can collaborate in a cohesive manner against the attacks of the rogue nations. So one thing is we're seeing the attacks pattern from the rogue nations going at a massive level. We saw also the attacks happening at the critical infrastructure, whether it's the industrial attacks, or the IoT devices, whether it's attacks in the sector. So when you go and talk to them, everyone is crying for a right solution to have in place. So to answer your question, absolutely, the plethora of attacks pattern, remote code execution, and technologies like 5G, for example, right? I mean, say 5G is great to have, but that brings its own nuisance. That means all devices are connected. All devices like IoT are connected now. Data is at a very fast pace. And hackers are waiting for a gold opportunity to mine. That means people like us, Virsec, have a role to play.
Right. Do you have any specific special observation in this regions of Asia Pacific and Middle East as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, say if you look at, we have seen, especially in India and Asia, the attacks have gone 3 times during the COVID time. Also, we have seen that unknown attacks happening at the vectors. I mean, so I can't name the agencies we work with, whether it's in US defense or there's India defense or defense in neighboring countries like, in Middle East and everyone. Every country is gearing up for the latest technologies to adopt, to stop further attacks. As I said, attack patterns have really changed a lot. Ecosystem is vast working collaboration. So we as a strategy work with our partners. We work with our GSI partners. We work with the local partners. And also we have our support system in India and Asia countries. So we can provide a solution and the support system to our clients at the right level.
Is it same in the Middle East as well?
Oh yeah. So we have a presence. So if you look at outside US, strong markets for us is Middle East. In Middle East, we have office now in Dubai, in UAE. We also have clients in Saudi Arabia, in Qatar, in Bahrain and Kuwait. Also in India, we're very strong. We have a R&D center in Bangalore. We have a presence of 120 people in Bangalore office. We have an office also in Delhi and Mumbai. And we have clients everywhere, whether it's defense, whether it's industrial systems, whether it's BFSI. So we are expanding, Sanjay, very quickly. We opened a new office also in Australia last year. We have a team now in Brisbane and Sydney as well. So we're expanding, and the reason is because we are seeing our clients want more. And back to your question, Sanjay, if you look at, when I go and talk to the typical CIO, CISO, they have a lot of customers. They have a lot of clients, and they have a lot of cybersecurity companies, but they're looking for one solution which can give the complete stack. We call it full stack protection, right? How you can stop the attacks from happening at the first place. And that's where Virsec comes differently, right? I'm going to say, if you can stop the attacks from happening, you don't have to detect or you don't have to protect it, right? And that's where Virsec has a different platform. We call it deterministic platform. We call DPP. And I'll go into details later on.
All right. Coming back to the trains, the way we are looking at the situation, the CISOs, cybersecurity leaders within the enterprises, within the organizations, and the IT leaders are in a situation like there is a Damocles sword always on their head, and there is a lot of expectation from the CEO or the CFO. So what is the ask from the board to the CISOs?
I think so. If you look at Sanjay, typically, the CISO life span is 2.53 years. And the reason is a very hot seat right now, right? I mean, to say, if you do something rightly, you have to keep doing right. And the problem is the talent. So when I go and talk to my people, my counterparts, my peers, the biggest talent right now, the biggest problem is finding right talent. Do they have the right people in SecOps? Do they have the right people in DevOps? Like, do they have right teams together? And once they have the right team together, they have so many products to choose from, right? They've got endpoint protection software, they've got network security, they've got runtime application protection software, and then they need people to manage it. So the biggest problem for a CISO right now is to manage the expectation from the board level, to the manage expectation from the CFO level, and also to make sure the department, everything is completely there. And also, if you look at what's happening in Europe and US now, there's a new regulations. You have to tell any hack, any cyber attempt to the board, right? Quickly. That means, everyone is at limelight. They need to have the right solutions in place, and they have the right team. So the biggest challenge for them is to right team, right solutions in place, and right deployments happening.
Bobby, just refer one thing, that the cybersecurity needs a talent pool. But my observation is that talent pool has a paucity everywhere, in IT also, in DevOps, anywhere, any reason. I was speaking a couple of days back, one of the senior management guy from SFO into IT and security domain. He was saying that we are seeing the same thing in our organization out of US. I was speaking to somebody in Malaysia, a government-owned organization, CIO. She was saying that we are trying to find out or locate those talent from different other countries, though we do not, our government doesn't allow, but we do not have an option at all. Human intervention cannot replace, or the other way around, the automation cannot replace the human intervention.
Yeah.
So this is a very big challenge. How do you play in that? Do you have any play as a OEM company? Of course, the partners are there who are helping the CISOs out. But inside, within the organization, CISO organization, who is going to evaluate the products? Who is going to, take care of the services, the patch management? You cannot always deploy the partners to do the needful, otherwise the cost escalation happens.
Yep. No, you're right. I think, so what we do is, first of all, a good part about Virsec is, though we are a small company, but our churn rate is very, very low. And the reason is, everyone is motivated for the vision. What our founder started the company 5 years back, the vision was to create something differently altogether. And we call it cybersecurity architecture 3.0. 1.0 was, when everyone's doing network security, then we have endpoint detection response. Cybersecurity 2 came with the AI machine learning, right? But now if you look at the attacks happening, they have no pattern. So people talk about AI machine learning, but the hackers are very smart. So what you're going to do if there's no pattern? So though we use the AI into our algorithms, but since Virsec is sitting in the software, and that's why we said deterministic production platform. And since the whole world runs on software, whether it's your COTS software, legacy applications, off-the-mill software, if you can protect a software to get hacked, game over. So that's why we are saying, yep, deploy Virsec. First of all, lower total cost of ownership. You don't need so many engines. You don't need so many dashboards, and you can replace a lot of products. So and also you don't need to have so many people to manage it. So I know there's a paucity of right people and at the client side, but deploying Virsec, it's quick to deploy. You don't need so many agents. You don't need so many people to monitor it. In fact, Broadcom is our world's largest company, our customer, and they openly said after leveraging Virsec, they could reduce the ongoing manpower by almost 2/3. And the reason is because those operation people could be decided for something else. So one thing is, yep, we need to give back the manpower to the CISOs. And second thing is also we work with the industry. We work with different departments. We work with different universities in the US and India now, also expanding to Asia. How we can train the skill sets, right? How we can train the skill sets on cybersecurity. How we can make a curriculum and a program as a part of the ongoing undergraduate programs. When people are talking about computer science, why cybersecurity is not a part of that? Because if you look at the 500,000 jobs available right now in US, more or less same in India. So you can only bridge the gap by getting the cybersecurity as a framework, as a part of the curriculum from day one. So when you're going to a STEM education in science and computer science, cybersecurity is a part of that. And I see it's happening because cybersecurity is such an important subject right now at the board level. CISOs will never report to the board, but now they're reporting to the board level. That means, the importance of CISOs has really gone up.
All right. So coming to Virsec, why do you really sit in terms of protecting within the engine? It is obviously a server protection, and you say that it is deterministic. If you can further tell me about or a little bit of explanation about what exactly is deterministic solution, and if it is server, what is the ecosystem, what is the kind of server, and what is the kind of verticals that you are guarding?
Sure. Well, Sanjay, that's a lot of questions in one question. So I'll try to answer that. So I think first, if you look at, we call it deterministic protection platform. And the reason is some solutions do probabilistic. That is a probability, right, of attack to happen. We call it deterministic. So no false positive. Since we're sitting right now at the runtime, the way a software is supposed to behave. A software is written by a coder. Only the coder knows the real intention of a application to behave in a certain way. And by deploying Virsec, we makes a golden image of a software. And by doing that, any deviation in the intended path, malicious attack is happening, we can detect in microseconds. That's we call it runtime application protection. That's on the Virsec part. Now, if you look at, we provide full stack protection, whether it's your web, host, and memory. No one is doing that. People have solutions for RAS part. Some people do EDRs. Some people do the NG-WAF and endpoint security. But no one is doing the complete stack, web, host, memory. So at Virsec, we provide the whole platform, which provide the full stack protection. That's second side. Now, to answer a question about which verticals, we are seeing the most important vertical for us is critical infrastructure. If anything can happen to your banking system, to your power grids, to your industrial systems, to your defense systems, the whole country can collapse. So we have use cases and customers, as I said, in the government sector, in BFSI, in telcos, and also large enterprises. We are not SMB play. We provide server protection, and we also provide any workload. I mean, so it doesn't have to be server. It could be VMs, could be containers, right? Could be legacy applications, could be your on-prem servers, could be on cloud. So we provide full set protection for any workload. It could be a container, could be a virtual image, could be a server, but we provide the application protection at the workload level. That's in a nutshell. And to answer the question, we are seeing a biggest traction, as I said, in those verticals. And we work with our partners. We work with global partners like Raytheon. We work with the likes of Tech Mahindra, Schneider, Aviva on the OT IT side. And we also have a lot of local partners in every country, whether it's US or Middle East or India. we have formed a lot of local partnerships. That really helps us to basically, do the quick POVs, do the quick deployments. We have trained them. In fact, right now we have got 26 partners in India trained on Virsecs platform. We have got around same 20 partners in Middle East across the 5 countries trained on Virsecs platform. We have got 5 partners in Africa. We're expanding into Europe, and that ecosystem, Sanjay, really drives the growth, because we cannot hire salespeople or SCs at the same level, right? So what we train our partners as a part of the journey, and it's become win-win. And the partners know where the real value is, the real dollars are, right? Because they have the relationship with the clients. So on the one side, large accounts are managed directly, but and those relationship comes very handy, whether it's the global partnerships or regional partnerships.
All right, Bobby, you said that you have got the full stack of solutions, and your competition has got something or other, not the full stack. It has got advantages and disadvantages also.
Yeah.
Somebody has got the EDR or XDR or WAF also. Then the system is up and running by the help of couple of or more than couple solution providers. So anything happens, you need not to replace the entire system. You are not blaming one person for that. And if anything happens to Virsec server, then the entire server is choked. The entire pipeline is choked. So what's your competitive advantage? How do you justify being full stack service provider?
Sure.
It's a justice for the CISO to onboard you.
That's a great question, Sanjay. As I said, the first thing is, you don't need to have those 4 or 5 products. Because, if you look at, if I'm a CISO or a CIO, I have to manage the renewals, I have to manage the contracts. And those are not an easy job. If one company can do a job for 4 or 5 vendors, that's easy for everyone to manage. The legal team, the contracting team, the CISO team, that's one thing. Second thing is, the CPU usage. We don't use more than 3%. So it's a very lightweight engine, right? It doesn't create more CPU usage on your CPUs. And third and foremost thing is, since we are not doing a deployment which goes in months and years, it's an easy to deploy solution. We have got different modules. You can deploy host protection, you can deploy memory protection, or you can deploy web protection, depending on the application stack, right? And we have full coverage to almost 99% of the applications right now. And as the product matures, we're supporting more applications as it comes, like SUSE 12, SUSE 15 is coming as per the roadmap. But we provide right now almost all the application stack available to our client set. Customer get a peace of mind. And second thing is, as I said, quick to deploy. You don't need a lot of people. We do the POV, and that's exactly the customer figure out which applications are most in demand. If that something happens to my critical application, whether it's supply chain or a SAP application or a finance application, that's most critical for me, right? We do a quick POV on that application, and we show them 2 scenarios, with Virsec, without Virsec, right? And by the way, I think I mentioned to you, we did a hackathon event with the major department in US 6 months back. They gave us a challenge of, they put the best red team to hack Virsec platform. Over the 1 week time, they have 14,000 hacking attempts. Not a single attempt was successful. And then the CIO of the major department said, this is the first time doing hackathons, they have seen something like this, so concrete. So we do hackathon events with our partners, we do hackathon events with our customers, we do the POVs, and when customer is very satisfied, then they adopt Virsec. And we have seen those adoptions into every vertical. As I said, whether it's government, we have government clients in India. Whether it's banking finance, we have banking finance customers in India right now, and also Middle East. We have customers in telcos. So you pick up any major vertical, we have a use case and the customer sets, which are Virsec customers right now. And the good part is we have advisory board. We meet once a quarter. In fact, we just did a mobile health CISO event in Delhi. Last month, we're doing one event in Bangalore as well. And the idea is, the CISO, CIOs are so struggling to cope up with a job. They are on a Zoom call, WebEx calls. So we're trying to get out of them, right? So we're doing on the weekend, on Sunday. So I think we're doing a lot of other things as well with the CISO community. And then we have a vertical use cases in every vertical, whether it's for supply chain poisoning, whether use cases for remote execution, whether it's a use case for attack like Log4j. And those were the ones people really are scared of. So if Virsec can stop those attacks from happening, like for example, SolarWinds, right? Now we're talking to them. It was the most disaster attack happened last year. And now we are working with SolarWinds. we are working with Microsoft, we are working with Broadcom, we are working with Intel. So those companies we work with, and we both learn together in the process.
All right, Bobby, next up is you have got major presence in these geographies, Asia Pacific and the Middle East. How have you invested? How are you invested in this locations? The biggest challenge for this CISO is to find out somebody responsible, help somebody, hostage after he gets himself hostage by somebody. In the sense, if it is attacked, then what is the support mechanism? So it is the OEM to give the support, which, if you look at the Texas school attack, the police was there. The police came inside the premise after 1 hour, which is being reported in the television. So this is exactly the challenge with the CISOs, that when the attack happens, how much time the support team takes from the OEM or from the partners. So how have you invested in this region from the sales perspective, from the support perspective, so that the immediate remediation happens? If you can say something around that, will be really nice.
Sanjay. So as I think I mentioned before, we have a big team in India. We have a R&D center in Bangalore. We provide level 1, 2, 3 support from India. We work with a lot of customers in Indian government account, and they want many India programs. So I think a lot of local support. The data resides in India. We work with our customer and the data center like Yota. Yota is the biggest data center in India. So like the government, when they came with a new regulation that data of the citizens should be in India, right? So basically, when we work with the customers in banking sector and government sector, they want data to be in their country. So we have a team supporting the clients in India, and they are experts in terms of all the level of supports. That's one thing. Second thing is we have offices in all the major cities in Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, in India. We have offices in Dubai, as I mentioned to you, and we have teams. So we have a sales team in these markets. We also have the system engineers team, SC teams is there as well, and deployment team. So to support our customers. And also then, as I said, we have trained our partners. So our partners are now very much trained to help our customers at the same level as Virsec can do that in all the major metros in India, in the major cities in UAE, and we're expanding the team. So if you know some right people who want to join Virsec, please, absolutely. We are hiring.
All right. Hiring, are you giving work from home or on-prem?
No, Mr. See, as I said, the cybersecurity skills are such in demand. We have to sometimes go with where the skills are, right? I mean, say if you look at the cost differential used to be when I came to US or Australia, it used to be 1/3 in India and here. The cost differential is almost 80% now. It's not there. It's fine for talent. If I got the right talent in Palo Alto or Bay Area or Bangalore, I will take the best talent and the same salaries, right? So these days, because of the technology, it doesn't matter where you're from. You can work for any remote location. You have to travel for the customer side, but location doesn't matter. It is a fight for talent.
Well, I get to hear about that you are in search of the talents from different regions in India, Middle East, and anywhere you are finding. That's good news. The other one is that your footprint, Virsecs footprint, if you look at, you are late entrant into this market, be it Middle East or Asia Pacific. How do you want to ramp up your, operations out of India or Asia Pacific from Australia, Singapore, or Middle East from Dubai or other countries in the region?
So, after US, of course, our focus will be in Asia Pacific and Europe. In Asia Pacific, 5 countries, as I mentioned before: Australia, Singapore, Japan, India, and also maybe maybe some countries in ASEAN region. And in Middle East, it will be those five countries, as I mentioned before. Africa will complete through the partners. We don't want to have an office there, but we're expanding. As I said, we're opening a new office in Singapore. We just hired a new team in Australia. We are hiring a new team in Japan. We are also expanding into sales and SCs into India. We are also need some more people into Middle East operations. We hired a new team in Europe. In fact, we have presence now in France and UK. So we'll keep focusing on those markets where we see the real traction. Other markets, we will go with the partners, but these markets will have a full-fledged Virsec office supported by the local team, who are local nationals. And that's what we really work with. The country we go with, we try to have the local nationals to support as a part of the good citizen, and also help the local economy. So when I go to Japan, I'll have a local Japanese team. In Australia, we have local Australians. India is Indians. Middle East, we'll have a lot of people from Middle East background who can speak Arabic as well. So, and we also work with industry. So for example, we are working now in Australia with the university now to help same thing curriculum and help the undergraduate Aussie kids to learn cybersecurity and join Virsec. Same thing we are doing. I was talking to Minister of IT a couple of weeks back. In fact, I was on a panel. I'm also a panel of US India Strategic Forum, where John Chambers and Mukesh Aghi talk about how we can collaborate as a US India Strategic Forum on cybersecurity, right? So we're trying to collaborate between two countries, and that was never a case, Sanjay. Always India was never aligned to US until 4 or 5 years back. But I'm glad now. I think with the Biden administration and before Trump and now Modi, two countries have become really close in terms of cybersecurity alliance. So that means those alliances are very powerful now, and we are seeing that traction also with acquired countries in Japan, Australia, and information flow is happening. So whatever we do in US government defense, India, Japan, Australia want to know what's happening, which is a great sign, right, for us, and also collaboration between the industry. So I think we see our growth from these countries. We'll keep expanding in terms of sales and SCs. We did our funding, Series C funding 6 months back. We'll do next round of funding in next 6 months' time. So we are on a path which is unmatched and unparalleled, I would say.
All right, Bobby, pretty gongo about the progress, I can well imagine. But do you face any challenge? Do you see any potential challenge in this region from the expansion point of view? From any sort of challenge that you are thinking that you can plug?
No, I think only Sanjay, I said, is a talent, right? Say there's a fight for talent. Okay. And obviously it's a win-win, right? Say if a talent want to work for Virsec, it's a win-win, right? We want to employ them, but also the person want to leverage his next 3 or 4 years of his life or her life, right? So I think the time there's a match we have seen, right? Because from both gone are the days when only employer demands it, right? Also employees are demanding now. So we really work in a cohesive environment. We really want to make a place a better place to work for everyone, and that's the reason we really spend into employee welfare. We really spend a lot of time into empathy. We really spend a lot of time into how we can go beyond our call of work, and those things help Virsec as a branding. So I think our mandate would be to, yes, absolutely expanding, but also a great place to work, fun place to work, right? Where people want to work and fun and live, and also enjoy their life.
All right, last CISO related question as to what would be your suggestion to the CISOs as far as best practices are concerned? This industry is not very static. It's changing every day. The way these sophistication in cybersecurity or the attacks are happening. So how do you suggest from a practice point of view to the CISOs?
I think first and foremost, every CISO should do is basically their posture, right? What is the current stack they have got, right? Where the gaps are. I think the first and foremost CISO does, yep, this is what my current stack is. This is what I can see our current holes are in my security gap, and this is how I'll fulfill it, right? That's the prime thing every CISO does. And then how you do that, given the budget constraint you have got. So I think CISO have to raise their voice. If they see some challenges, absolutely they have to go back to the CFOs and the board level, because if they don't do it, right, it's the reputation of the company at stake. Look at what happened at supply chain poisoning, right? It was the biggest brands we have seen got hacked, and remote code execution is getting worse. I mean, it's like phishing attacks are getting worse, and 5G technology will make them more worse, right? So I think, we can see those things, and CISOs, I advise my CISO friends to make their voice more vocal, to really tell the board, this is the challenges they're facing. And sometimes I've seen the typical problem in Asia and India is, no, cybersecurity is fine. Nothing can happen to us. So I think till the time that is there, you have to accept it's coming. It's on your face. And say if you look at 90% of companies have been hacked. It's a different thing. They don't want to admit it, right? But if you look at, and the ransomware demands are going up. So I think it's a matter of time, right? When India comes with the mandate or with a policy that, yep, you have to tell in the next 12 hours time if you get hacked. And second thing is, don't take it lightly. So I really want my CISO friends to be more vocal about the fight for the budgets they have to fight with the CIO for more budgets for cybersecurity. Because gone are the days when you can say, hang on, cybersecurity is not in my radar. Nothing can happen to me. No, it's coming. It's there right now.
Okay. Do you have any prediction to make looking at the geopolitical situation panning out? Everything are changing. Anything that you want to say to the audience, to the CISOs?
Yeah, I think only thing I would say is the spend on cybersecurity is growing. I mean, it's an industry where I think collectively global spend was $250 billion last year. It is growing at 26% CAGR. So cybersecurity industry is an industry where we see a lot of money to be spent in the next 4 to 5 years time. That means you need to have best technology you can adopt, right? I mean, say, and as I said, attacks pattern are not the old ones. Hackers are getting smarter. There's no machine learning. There's no AI. So you have to really figure out how you can be ready for those attacks with no pattern, with 0 day or -2 day, right? So I think those are coming. And second thing is specific. If I have to ask about countries in Middle East and India, I'm say watch out. I'm say we all know who is hacking India. I don't want to name any country here, but we are hacked as a nation, right? Everything is hacked. So I think we have to take a challenge at a senior level and get more velocity of and propensity of the what's happening, what challenges are facing as an industry. I think till the time that comes to the front level, to the CEOs and the CFOs, it won't change. But my advice is, guys, we are seeing global patterns of cybersecurity spend going up. India is not immune. India also started spending now in the last 2 years' time. But because the attacks have gone up, attacks have gone 3x in India in the last 12 months. So I think whether it's China or whether it's other countries, they'll keep putting the phishing attacks or ransomware attacks, and we've seen that in past, whether it's Bombay Electric Grid or whether it's happening in defense solvents. But I think we have to really take it seriously now. It's time.
Bobby, don't you think internal threat is very, very critical? Any attack, any theft happens, internal threat, internal person, the vulnerability, DLP kind of things, plays a major role for any sort of attack, any sort of, right?
Yeah, it does. We call it basically privileged access management, right? So if you look at the PAM part of the cybersecurity is growing fast, because as I said, you need one mole in the company, right? You need one employee who is disgruntled or who's been fired, right? The employee can come back to you. So you have to change the policies pretty quickly. You have to make sure your systems are in place. You have to make sure the audits are done on the security posture. You have to make sure the security passwords are changed pretty often, right? I mean, say at the corporate level, at the server level. So I think those audits should happen pretty much more often. But you're right, whether it's a phishing attack coming from outside, whether it's an internal mole doing privileged access management, and companies have to adopt those postures, right? You got to figure out where exactly is my current portfolio, where the holes are, and how often shall I fill the holes, and how frequent shall I do that audits. So I see expansion to everywhere, whether it's audit, compliance, security postures, or whether it's PAM area, or whether it's area toward network security, or the runtime app security. But out of all that, as I said, if I can stop the attack from happening in the first place, I don't have to defend it, right? Attack will never happen, and that's what Virsec does. Because since we are sitting at the runtime at the application level, and we have a golden image, I think your viewers should remember this one, and that's Virsec is different, because since we provide a golden image of your software, and we are sitting on the runtime, we can detect any deviation in microseconds, and that differentiates Virsec as compared to XYZ.
All right, Bobby, I'll ask the final question about,
sure.
I'll put it inside the story. It's about the cloud computing. Everybody knows that cloud is the biggest player on the way to achieve 100% digital transformation, which is the end goal of any organization today existent on this earth. So do you think, or what's your perception, what's your opinion about whether cloud is becoming less scary from cybersecurity perspective, people have started understanding cloud computing vis-a-vis the on-prem things?
No, I think if you look at adoption has been very fast in the certain sectors. If you look at banking sector is very fast in cloud security, or they are moving like the applications to the cloud. If you look at the government department, they still want everything on-prem. So I think I will still see same. The government customers will want 70% of the data to be on-prem. On the other side, we are seeing the banking finance industry enterprises moving 80% data to the cloud, right? And then there's a hybrid model as well. So we are seeing into every vertical, cloud computing is going forward. Also, edge computing is moving faster, right, than we ever thought, and also hybrid. So I think depending on the vertical you are, you will always find those areas where certain verticals prefer on-prem, and certain verticals are happy and okay with the cloud. But we're seeing a lot of adoption towards cloud, containers, edge computing in the private sector.
All right, Bobby, thank you very much. We pretty covered everything about Virsec, about the industry, CISOs, and really your perspective is well taken. The CISOs or the CIOs or the audience who will be watching this video will definitely learn from this conversation. Thank you, Bobby, for coming in and speaking to CIOTV.
Thanks, Sanjay. Have a great day. Thank you. Good morning.